Hello, I'm Robin Gibson, and this is the Harvard House Money Morsel. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the bell so you get a notification when we're releasing a new video. I'm sitting today with Michael Porter again. Welcome, Michael.
Yeah, morning, Robin.
We've just been around the country doing Insight in Joburg and the Cape, and we will do it in Howick this coming week. But Michael, obviously the great thing over the weekend, Friday, we had our first sitting of Parliament, and we've got a government of national unity.
Yes, quite right, Robin. Sorry, voice is a little bit shaky this morning, long weekend. And yes, I think the wildebeest is a relatively fat one. He's not scrawny and right, Robin. It's really exciting. I mean, I think over the weekend, obviously what we saw was Ramaphosa getting elected, which was good.
Yeah.
Everybody expected that. The ANC also having the Speaker of Parliament, which was good. And overwhelmingly voting. I don't know if you watched the voting on Friday, but it was overwhelmingly in favour, which means that all the government of national unity parties actually in their first real test, I suppose, they actually toed the line and voted together, which I suppose is important.
And I see that also sort of flowed down to the provinces as well, didn't it?
Yeah. Oh. So, but I think, over the weekend, from an investment point of view, a lot of the big banks and brokerages are upgrading SA, Okay. So essentially, this is sort of sit pretty close to the best possible outcome from a strategic sort of strategy point of view in terms of equities and bonds in the rand for this country, yes, which I think is really interesting. So there were a couple of different outcomes. There was the sort of ANC-DA, and not just an alliance, but essentially a working alliance. And I think that's what's come out over the weekend is the agreement between the parties. The DA is going to get cabinet posts, as I understand it, although the cabinet hasn't been announced yet.
Yes.
So the DA might not, be deputy president or anything like that, or speaker of parliament. But if there's cabinet posts in proportion to their vote, and that's basically how it looks to me, unless I've misunderstood it, I think that's largely a best case scenario for how the scenarios were going to work out prior to the election, yes, and that's bullish. I mean, we were closed yesterday. This is Tuesday morning. It was a public holiday yesterday, but the rand firmed sharply in overseas trading. It went down to, we're sitting at 18.25 to the dollar, roughly 23 to the pound. And I think it's the markets really liked what they've seen so far.
Yeah. And Michael, I mean, will this open the door for an earlier than expected rate cut? Do you think that Reserve Bank might get ahead of the Fed now? Or?
Yeah, listen, I really think so. I think, we can talk about inflation. Well, we've talked about it in our own meetings. South African inflation is pretty benign. I mean, it's a sort of 4.5 at core. It's right where the Reserve Bank wants it to be. I don't think headline inflation is a big issue. With the rand strengthening, the rand oil price is sort of sitting at sort of $1,500 a barrel. So just to put it into context, towards the second half of last year, oil prices really spiked quite sharply. I mean, we went up to 2,000 rand a barrel of oil. Yeah. Now, if we get a little bit more rand strength and we're sitting at sort of 1,400 rand a barrel, we're going to have some quite big disinflation over the next sort of 3 to 4 months, because just on the oil price alone, which is 20% of CPI, that's going to come down. So listen, I certainly think the Reserve Bank has got scope to cut sort of August, but I don't think that's a consensus view. I think that the outlook for the Fed has been pushed out, unfortunately, maybe to sort of November time, and whether our Reserve Bank is going to cut before the Fed does. Listen, I think if the rand really reacts strongly to politics, and the rand is pretty stable, maybe around the 18 level, maybe in the upper 17s even, I think that would give the Reserve Bank a little bit of courage to actually cut. So you can't say it's consensus, but I think there's maybe a 50-50 chance we start cutting sort of August. I think consensus is we only start cutting September or even at the November meeting.
Yes,
yeah.
But sentiment has always counted for a huge thing in markets, hasn't it? And I mean, to have this kind of sentiment is really exciting.
Last week, Robin, business confidence came out in a plunge, but that confidence reading was taken in the week of the election, which is a hopeless time to take a confidence reading given the elections in our country. But I would expect a really sharp bounce back in confidence over the next month or two if we see this government holding and just not fracturing at the first challenge.
Yes. Yeah. And Michael, I mean, I think what we mustn't forget is that we've still got two major elections around the globe on the 4th of July. Funny date, the UK have got their election, and that's looking really interesting. And of course, we've got Trump season 2 potentially coming at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think the market's going to, I mean, the UK election is only, 2 weeks away now. And so the market is going to focus on that. And you can see the UK market sort of drifting off a little bit. But I mean, it's probably worth mentioning at this, France had elections for the European Parliament 10 days ago. Yeah. That went far right. Yeah. The French market is, let's say, collapsed. I mean, it's come under significant pressure. Yeah. And so, just bear that in mind when we're talking about election risk and political risk in this country, is that the world is a crazy place. I mean, French equities have probably sold off 10% in the last week. Yeah. So, and that's just purely an election risk and an uncertainty issue. So don't think that it just happens down here.
Yeah. Awesome. Michael, thanks for filling us in. It's going to be very interesting to see who gets what in the way of cabinet posts. We will watch that with interest. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.